Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Charlie Rowen here, and before we get into today's video, there's something I'd like to say. I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time, so if you're interested, go into the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, if you didn't know, only 25% of you guys are subscribed to us, so please hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the video. In this deep dive, we will be going over the quirk All For One. The quirk allows the user who takes his name after it to take others' quirks, then using them for themselves, or giving it to someone else. Side note, this quirk is an emitter type. This is done via touch, where if their quirk is taken, the person will become quirkless. Even if they have a mutant-type quirk, they will lose any abnormal features. After losing or gaining a quirk, the person will be immobile for a short while and typically confused. As well, when someone is given a quirk, if they previously had one, the two quirks could blend together, although this is rare. An example of this is One For All. All For One can also combine stored quirks in the user to create a devastating move/technique that wouldn't be possible with only one quirk. Another thing is All For One seems to be able to get passed on. We know this because All For One hints that he wants to pass it on to Tomura Shigaraki. Even though the quirk is powerful, it does come with some weaknesses. One of them is when passing a quirk onto someone else, that person may lose their mind, becoming a mindless doll like a Nomu. All For One is also shown to be able to take people's minds. An example of this is Kurogiri, who used to be Oboro Shirakumo, an aspiring hero who was a UA student. All For One took his corpse after he died, brought him back, making him into a loyal servant for his doing. Although for Kurogiri's case, if a person who was close enough with Oboro talks with him, they seem to be able to get through to Oboro, at least ever so slightly. Side note, it's unknown how All For One made Oboro into Kurogiri. Going back to All For One's quirk, when All For One takes a quirk, it doesn't take the skill of the original user, meaning that complicated quirks that take lots of practice aren't often taken. An example of this is Best Genist, when All For One refuses to steal his quirk. There is also one power that All For One can't take, which is One For All, since the user has to want to pass on the quirk for it to be passed on. The quirk also has a limit of how many quirks it can store. We don't know what the amount is, but what we do know is the quirk itself can take an infinite amount. It's the user who can only take so much. As well, if the user wanted, they could take more than this limit, but they would become like the Nomu. Side note, this is somewhat like One For All, which requires the user to train their body to fully control the quirk's immense strength. Before we get back into the dive, I would like to say that we've got a third channel called Anime Theory. Anime Theory mainly focuses on a large variety of mind-boggling anime theories. Now, in case you guys didn't know, we are a secondary channel to our main channel, We the Celestials. We the Celestials is full of fun, what-if stories. If you have the sugar tooth for great storytelling, please give that channel a visit as well. If you're interested in the content we share with all channels, make sure you click the icon on the top right corner, or check the description below for a link to the channel. Now with that out of the way, let's get back into the dive. This power has only been used by one man, who also goes by All For One. He was born over a century ago, not very long after quirks started to appear. All For One was able to dominate Japanese society using his power. He did this by taking anybody's unwanted quirks away and giving them to others for favors. Also, taking any enemy's quirks, stopping any threat they might be. Eventually, All For One would gain a large number of loyal subordinates that would follow every one of his orders without question. All For One would mercilessly rule over this empire until the 8th user of One For All, also known as All Might, would severely hurt him, killing him, if not for the aid of others. After this, All For One would eventually start creating Nomu, which were mindless machines of people full of different quirks to aid him and the League of Villains with any of their goals. Primarily them being to take down All Might and rebuild All For One's empire. After All For One had a rematch with All Might being was captured, the League is still able to make Nomu, but it's unknown how they are doing this. Usually during combat, All For One combines some of his many quirks to maximize power and effectiveness on a massive scale. Since All For One has no problem with killing, he won't hold back and will use any advantage possible to win, including but not limited to aiming at defenseless people and playing mind games. This is seen in the rematch between All Might and All For One, where he shot at civilians, forcing All Might to defend them and reveal the secret of his skinny form. Since All For One has been alive so long, it's suggested that sometimes he gained a quirk of agelessness. One last side note, there will be a deep dive on the user of All For One at a later date. Thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the editors for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord that is in the description of this video and hit up the head of one of those areas. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's videos. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out, mortals. Have an amazing day.